Guests. I am Varun Mittal, the networking coordinator at the Office of Alumni Relations, IIT Delhi. It is my absolute privilege to be your master of ceremonies for today's landmark event, the celebration of IIT Delhi's first ever Alumni Impact Report. Before every auspicious beginning, it is customary to light the lamp to highlight our journey into the light of grace and wisdom. Thereby, I request the following dignitaries to please grace the stage for the lamp lighting ceremony. Mr. Arun Duggal, Chairman at ICRA Limited, Professor Vivek Buva, Deputy Director, Strategy and Planning, Mr. Kalpen Shukla, President, IIT Delhi Alumni Association, Mr. Sashi Reddy, Founder and Managing Partner, SRI Capital, Professor Rangan Banerjee, Director, IIT Delhi, Professor Nilanjan Sen Roy, Dean Alumni Relations. Let's give a huge round of applause.
शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणं आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणं आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणं आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणं आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
Thank you. I request everyone to take their seats in the front row as we move forward with the proceedings. Now, to set the stage for today's session, I invite Professor Nilanjan Sen Roy, Dean of Alumni Relations, to deliver the welcome address. Sir, the floor is yours.
So, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to IIT Delhi. This is inclement weather, but it's wonderful to have the quota of February rains in March. So, thank you all. You have brought rain to Delhi after a long, hot 2 weeks. So, I welcome all the students sitting up there, as well as all the alumni, the past students, to this very august occasion where we are celebrating the achievements of our alumni, the impact that they have created over the last 50-60 years, And we'll talk about that in a panel discussion. We have invited very distinguished people from different sectors, different walks of life to talk about their journey, how the institute has shaped their careers and their journey, and in which direction they would like the institute to move in the future. Following the panel discussion, I am very happy and proud to welcome Mr. Anant Yadi. He's from the third batch of the institute, 1967, to deliver the keynote lecture, in which he's going to talk about, again, the impact of the institution and his journey after he graduated from here in 1967. So I think without wasting any more time, I would like to, I think we're going to do the unveiling now? Yeah, okay. So, okay, you take over. Welcome to the IIT Delhi.
Thank you, Professor Senroy, for those insightful opening remarks. Now, to witness the journey of transformations and the legacy of excellence, please turn your attention to the screen for the Alumni Impact Report video.
What if we told you this legacy comes from one institute in India? That is IIT Delhi. Let's go back to the year 1966. A young nation begins building its future, and an institution began shaping the minds that would build it. At IIT Delhi, scale is not the story. Commitment is. 6 decades of growth has transformed IIT Delhi into one of India's most powerful human capital institutions. IIT Delhi alumni influence society not only by founding companies, but by operating within large and diverse corporate systems that shape everyday life. Across the world, educational institutions are no longer measured only by classrooms and laboratories, but by the ideas their alumni carry into the world. Alumni-led startups shape economies, generate employment, and define the future. In public service, they operate where governance meets everyday life. Our alumni are embedded at the highest tiers of global academia, not at the margins. They quietly yet decisively transform engineering knowledge into national security. Impact is not about numbers, but about where decisions are shaped. Our alumni-led interventions translate engineering logic into everyday resilience. IIT Delhi alumni shape India's cultural and narrative landscape. IIT Delhi alumni are everywhere. We are not just a credential. We are a catalyst. The footprint of this campus is borderless. IIT Delhi transformed them, so they could transform the world.
What an incredible journey. That video truly captures the essence of what we achieve here at IIT Delhi. excellence, innovation, and global impact. Now, to the most anticipated moment of this afternoon, the unveiling of the impact report. To perform the honors, I request our distinguished guests to please join us on stage as I call their names. Dr. Minnie Thomas, Dean, Faculty of Engineering and Technology at Jamia Millia Islamia. Dr. Swati Basu, former Scientific Secretary, Office of Principal Scientific Advisor, Government of India. Ms. Punita Kumar Sinha, Independent Director. Mr. Shashi Reddy, Founding and Managing Partner, SRI Capital. Rear Admiral Sujit Bakshi, Director General, Warship Design Bureau, and Mr. Anant Yardi, President and Founder of Yardi Systems. I also request our Director, Professor Rangan Banerjee, and Dean, Professor Niranjan Sen Roy, to join them. A huge round of applause as they make their way up. I request Dean, sir, to please felicitate them as they join us. Now to unveil the impact report. Together, we also unveil the Her at IITD Coffee Table Book, a celebration of the women entrepreneurs and the women leaders from the IITD Alumnus Network. A momentous milestone for the Institute. Now I request Professor Senroy to take the podium to share his thoughts on the report.
So just outside the seminar hall, there are a bunch of standees on which we have put the pages of the report. And I saw many people, the students, staff, faculty standing and reading the standees. And that is very important. I feel, and I felt very proud about it because it is all about institutional awareness. I feel as an institute, we need to be very, very aware of ourselves. And one of the steps towards building that self-awareness is to be aware of our outcomes, how well we have done in the last 60 years. So this is not like congratulating ourselves or patting ourselves in the back, but just that we need to be sure and we need to be aware of our history before we can decide which way to move forward. So this alumni impact report that we have come out with is essentially a step towards the awareness of the institute. We are setting up a baseline. This is a first cut version. I don't think that this is the final word. I believe that today's students will do something so that the next impact report will probably end up embarrassing this report. I hope that that is the case. I expect that the next impact report will come out in the next 5 to 10 years, and at that time it will be much more impressive than this report. So, to all of you who responded to our call for help when we started making this report, I am very thankful to you. Many of you responded with data, with ideas. You gave your valuable time for discussions. You allowed yourself to be interviewed. You set up other interviews with people. I'm very grateful for you. The challenge while making this report was not data. Contrary to what everybody is thinking, because whenever everybody looks at the report, they think that, wow, you collected such a lot of data. But that was not exactly the challenge. The challenge was to actually figure out what is the meaning of impact in different sectors. When I talk about because this report divides the impact into multiple sectors, some sectors, the impact is very easily measurable. In some other sectors, it is very difficult to measure. Like, how do you measure the impact in an NGO sector? In public service, how do you measure the impact? How do you measure the impact in defense? Everybody's working in teams. How do you measure the credit? So that was the biggest challenge. So what we did, we had nothing, we had no template to look up to. We looked at the internet and we discovered that MIT and some other US universities, I think one university in Israel also did similar reports many years ago. We had only those reports as templates. No other institution in India has done this kind of an impact report. So I believe we are the first ones, and I think many others are going to follow soon. So we collected a lot of data. We put together a bunch of student interns who worked very hard. We made them work very hard, collecting data, analyzing the data, binning the data. Another big challenge in this report was that it is easy to identify people who are clearly visible, who are well known, because they have a strong internet footprint. But there are many of our alumni who do not have an internet footprint. People who were of a generation before the internet, people who are doing things which are not interesting to the internet. Could we have generated this report through AI? We tried everything. We went to AI and we said, can you give me an alumni impact document of the alumni of IIT Delhi? It did give us a document. We took one look at the document and we realized that we have to make our own document. We went to other agencies who are in the business of creating impact documents. We discussed with them. Then we realized that it is better that we create this document in-house, for the simple reason because we ourselves need to be aware, our students need to be aware of the impact of the alumni's achievements. We also found out a very interesting thing about our alumni. Our alumni did not know that the institute wants to talk to them. This is a very, very big eye-opening finding for me. I went to my class and I asked, how many of you have heard of Vinod Khosla? Very few people raised their hands. I went to my class, I asked, how many of you have heard of YC Deveshwar? Nobody raised their hand. So that is the reason why we made the alumni impact document, and I am very proud of this achievement. I think it was it was first vision that was proposed by director in early 2025, and when he raised this idea, he sent me this idea. I had no clue how to go about it, but thankfully I was supported in this journey. Mr. Arun Duggal, Ranu and all, you remember we had that first conversation, I think in March 2025, and since then we've been working. So how do we plan to use this document? This document is going to be, of course, available online. There are hard copies, and we are printing many hard copies. Please let us know if you want. Students, you need to print your own hard copies. For the current alumni, this is like a mirror. You have to do much better than this. You need to make sure that the next alumni impact document is much better than this document. For the students, you need to be inspired because you are standing on the shoulder of giants. So you need to be very inspired by this report. For the faculty and the staff, this report presents opportunities for collaborations, opportunities to reach out and do impactful things across the world. For the institution, this is like an accountability document. We need to take stock of how far we have come, how has the journey been, are we successful as an institution, and what are the changes and interventions we need to make in order to do much better than what we have been doing all this while. I wanted to also thank the director for his vision. I wanted to thank Vivek Bua, the Deputy Director, Strategy and Planning, for taking charge of the finances. He financed this report, so I'm very thankful for that. He and of course Dean Planning, Somnath. I wanted to thank our alums who are sitting here, Shashi, Vikram, Arun, Punita is there. So many people have contributed handsomely to this document. Ranu contributed. I wanted to thank our endowment office team. They are very passionate. In fact, in one of the conversations, one of the staff members in our endowment office was almost in tears when she said, "Sir, report banega na?" Because they feel very strongly about the institute. And I thank them for their passion. I want to thank Mona. Mona joined our CEO, endowment office. She joined in the middle of last year, and this report has helped her tremendously to map the space of the alumni. I have personally grown during this report, aware of this institution. I want to thank my marketing officer, Tanmay, because he led the entire project from the start. I want to thank all the student volunteers. I want to thank the faculty across the institute, multiple faculties who have contributed to this document in so many ways. They have done analytics, they have done infographics, they have supplied us with data, they have purchased data and given it to us. So I want to thank them for that. Finally, this is just a consultative document. If you notice any improvements, if you have any suggestions on how to better come up with an index of impact measurement, I would be happy to hear about it. We have got a lot of feedback about alumni through emails, verbally as well as through emails. We're thankful for that. If you have any comments, any suggestions, about this report, please feel free to reach out to me or to the director. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Senroy. It is now my distinct honor to invite our director, Professor Rangan Banerjee, to address the gathering.
On. Yeah. Good afternoon, and it's indeed a pleasure to be here today to discuss the alumni impact document. And we have a lot of our alumni and a distinguished alumni here, and we'll hear from them. It's also an occasion where we are celebrating our women alumni. We had, I think, was it the beginning of the year, or I don't remember the exact date, on a Saturday, there was the first meeting of women alumni of IIT Delhi. And on that day, we were supposed to release this report, but you know how things happen in the last minute with variety of things. So it was only the front page was shown that we had. So we have celebrated stories of 30 women alumni. And, traditionally, IIT Delhi has been a predominantly male community. That is changing, that needs to change. And we thought that we need to highlight and focus on some of our key women achievers who have been actually trailblazing, because today it's much easier for a woman student at the institute, and things are much, we are now 26, 27, going towards 30% women, and hopefully over a period of time, we will have gender parity. But in the initial years, it was actually quite a struggle for, and all of our women have done exceedingly well for themselves, and we thought we should celebrate some of it, and this is that document that has been released here today. I'd just like to say a few things about the alumni impact document. The institution, we believe that we provide a transformative experience for our students. And students come from diverse backgrounds, from different locations. Once you're here, you're an IIT Delhi student. And then this has actually the kind of education, the affordable education that we provide is something which has made a difference, we believe have made a difference in many lives of our people who have gone through our institution. We believe that this is the main contribution of the institution to society. We are, of course, we contribute through our research and through the knowledge and the new knowledge that we create, but mainly we contribute through the people whom we give a way of thinking, and they in turn actually make a difference in the world, whether it is in India or in the US, in Australia, wherever they are. So we thought that we should try to document this. And whatever you see in this document, in my opinion, this is an underestimate. We have only been able to scratch the surface. So I would like to request you to see how you can quantify some of this. Why is this important? For a variety of reasons. We are a publicly funded institution. And today, initially, we were one of the 5 IITs, the youngest of the old IITs, right? Today, there are 23 IITs. We are a 65-year-old institution. We need to reimagine our infrastructure. Our infrastructure is crumbling. Our infrastructure is not keeping pace with our aspirations. We have global aspirations. We are globally competitive in research, but a lot of our infrastructure needs to be revamped. So we are now working on a complete plan for reimagination of our infrastructure. We just had a full review of every single academic unit and administrative unit in our institute, external review. We are now using that as a basis to prepare a vision, 2035 vision for the institute, so that IIT Delhi 2.0, the next 65 years, where does it look like? That is the vision, and that is something for which we will need support, we will need resources. So we wanted this document to showcase that this is what the public funded institution, what has happened with the funding that all the taxpayers have put in. And even though it's an underestimate, I think we've definitely given value for money. And so this was the goal. This was the goal. But I think we need to refine some of this, because as we see that, when we do our 2035 vision and our reimagining plan, just for the infrastructure alone, we'll need 10,000 crores in the next 10 years. We will need significantly more to do research. We are among the best in the country, and we can see that even in the terms of the ranking. I don't go too much by the rankings, but we can see that we are really going there. And if we want to be counted among the top 10 globally in engineering and science, which I think we can definitely aspire to be, we will need to think differently. We will need to look at strategizing. We will need to look at ways in which we can have infrastructure investment. We can be nimble. We can have to change our systems. For all of this, we need the vision, the thoughts, the ideas, and the resources of our alumni who have actually led their own companies, led different countries, different corporations. We need your help to take us forward for the next 65 years. So I'm delighted to be here, and I really look forward to listening to all of you in the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Banerjee, for those inspiring words. As we look towards the horizon, the Institute's roadmap is guided by a clear, ambitious strategy. To discuss the future trajectory for the next decade, Vision 2035, I invite our Deputy Director of Strategy and Planning, Professor Vivek Buva, to the podium.
Good afternoon to all of you. Since you're all here, since we are celebrating the Alumni Impact document, it's also a good idea to share with you the plans of the Institute for next 10 years. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to this is work in progress. In no way this is the vision and strategy slides. So we'll take about a few more months to come up with a formal or a draft version of the vision and plan document, and we'll indeed be sharing with you for your feedback. These are just some interim steps or the work that we are currently doing. It all starts from the 10-yearly review of academic units and institute that we do. As you may be aware, every 10 years we do a comprehensive review. Last one was in 2014. And the recent one, which is almost complete, which started last year, in which we are reviewing all our academic units, 30 of them approximately. And for the first time, we have also started reviewing the administrative units as well. And it's quite a massive exercise. We are inviting leaders, experts from different parts of the world, from academia, industry, just to give an exercise In last year and also early this year, we've invited about 78 reviewers, 45 international, 33 from Indian academia plus industry, out of which about 18 were women members, and significant alumni members were also part of this review process. And as a part of this, each academic unit, department, school, center has their vision. And then the external committees have physically visited, spent a few days, 2, 3, 4 days at the institute, had extensive deliberations with the faculty, students, staff, and then they have submitted, and we are compiling all those reports and coming up with the action plans. And one thing that we want to do is that we don't want to make it business as usual, but we are putting up mechanisms in place to further follow that up, and that's how we come to Vision 2035. So we are taking a multi-pronged approach. In the bottom up, our academic units are preparing vision and plans for their unit for next 10 years. We are already in the process of setting up the academic and research advisory committees for each of the academic units, who will physically visit the campus, review the progress, and then do, instead of once in 10 years, do a comprehensive review once in 3 years. And a large number of people, about 180 people, will participate in this exercise through the Academic and Research Advisory Council. At the same time, while the academic units are working on the plan and vision for their department or school, we have a board for education and research planning, abbreviated as BERP, which is comprised of multiple deans, and we had multiple meetings deliberating vision and plan for each of the vertical implementation strategies and timelines. And we are hoping that the draft version would be ready in next couple of months, and it is already planned that it will be shared with alumni for the feedback before it is finally launched. We are looking at following things. How would education look like or would change in next 10 years in terms of teaching pedagogy, learning experiences, curriculum innovation, industry engagement for student entrepreneurship-driven research programs, etc. In the era of AI, should the teaching be the same as we currently do, or how would it change, or how do we need to change to respond to the fast-changing external world in terms of tools and techniques, as well as the needs of the industry? I'm not going into the details. At the same time, how do we drive our research, innovation, and entrepreneurship ecosystem? We need to create plans, or we are creating plans, that how does Institute aligns its research and innovation ecosystem to meet the national and societal priorities. Today we do sponsored R&D worth about 400 or 500 crore every year. How do we take that? 1,000 crore, 2,000 crore rupees per year, or 1,500 crore rupees per year? What is that number, and what is our strategy to reach there? We file about 150 patents every year. How would that situation look like in next 10 years? How do we translate the IP into commercialization? Those are the challenges that we are looking at. We are already doing good in terms of startup ecosystem. Alumni have contributed very significantly, and the alumni impact document literally lists all of that. But how do we take this forward with help of the founders, VCs, who have gone out from our institute, and make IIT Delhi as a top-notch academic innovation hub? How do we make a significant impact in terms of science, blue sky research in select areas, so that IIT Delhi has a distinction and research excellence through? We are looking at all these aspects. We are looking at the global engagement. Many of you would be aware that IIT Delhi has started its first overseas campus 2024. These are some pictures. So in parallel, the Abu Dhabi team is also, currently it is functioning from a temporary campus of Zayed University. Thanks to Sunjay Sudhirji for making this happen. There are plans being made to move out from a temporary campus to a permanent campus. How would this Abu Dhabi campus be different than our main campus, and how is it different? What distinction it has? We are working on that. We have a strong international education and research networks. We have joint degree programs with about 3 universities, Australia, France, Taiwan, and we are working on strategies and plans how to internationalize in a strong way additional joint degree programs, joint research programs, and all of that. Professor Banerjee mentioned that though ranking may not be a true measure, but at least it reflects a direction in which we are moving. And we are currently ranked at 123 in the global world university rankings by QS, 26 in engineering and technology. Of course, this corresponds to the top position in the country. But then, like Professor Banerjee mentioned, we aspire to be in top 10, for example, when it comes to engineering and technology, and what do we do to go there. That's what we are thinking. This is just a map of the international research network. I will skip that. Now, in order to meet those aspirations that we have in transforming the education, transforming the research, startup, innovation ecosystem, we really need to overhaul our infrastructure and also bring in the much required administrative reforms. On one hand, we are a government institute. We have to follow the GFR and many other rules and procedures, but at the same time, the aspirations are truly global, and we need to have that hybrid administrative structure. So some things you follow the GFR, etc., but when alumni and corporate, etc., donating, we need to find alternative administrative structures. Many of you may be aware that we also have a satellite campus in a place called Sonipat, which is about 55 kilometers north of this campus. And about 10 acres of that Sonipat land is already developed and used, and we are making plans for the remaining 40 acres of space. I will talk about that. We also need to we are making the plans for rebuilding of the main campus, and also the plans to make reforms in the governance and administrative structure so that we are able to meet the aspirations that we have in next 10 years. So in Sonipat campus, as I mentioned, 10 acres of space is already developed that houses some of the state-of-the-art research facilities. Institute over last 10 years has invested about 300 crores in setting up advanced experimental characterization facilities. We have also set up about 150 crore rupees in setting up a state-of-the-art HPC for AI applications. We also have an Atal incubation center there, and with state-of-the-art convention center, etc. So this part that you see on the top, that is the 10-acre land, that 10-acre piece that you have on the top side, that is already developed. It houses the central characterization facilities, the HPC facility, convention center, and so on. And now Institute is in the process of making the plan for the remaining 40 acres that you see on the lower part of this Sonipat campus map. Rebuilding the main campus is really important. All of you are aware many of the hostels, about 6 of them were built in 60s and 70s. Most of the academic blocks, academic block 1 to academic block 5, where you lived, where you studied, those were built in 60s and 70s. And those now are beyond repairs. They need to be brought down and rebuilt. And Institute is making a plan for next 10 to 15 years for a complete infra overhaul, pulling down the old hostels, academic blocks, and rebuilding them, adding additional facilities like convention center, hospital, and many other community facilities. And we are making a phase-wise construction plan because it's not a greenfield project. For every movement that we want to do, we need to first make a building or first make a hostel, then move people there, and then take those new blocks down and reconstruct. So it is going to be a phase-wise plan. And as per the initial estimate, this would require about 9,000 or 10,000 crore of rupees, not for the entire one, at least for next 10 to 15 years. And we are also looking at the ways to raise this fund, and one model could be 1/3. We will be very happy, the institute will be very happy to contribute about 3,000 crore rupees in next 10 to 15 years to the overheads and revenues that we generate. We're looking for about 1/3 of alumni and corporate donation, and about 1/3 could possibly will reach out to the government. And when we do so, we want to have modern green buildings with new construction materials, technologies, where sustainability, energy efficiency, safety is built in. At the same time, we don't want to do it in a disruptive way. We want to retain the green areas. All the constructions that those are planned, no single tree is being cut. The buildings are designed in a way that no trees are demolished. I also know that there's a lot of emotional attachment. I'm getting questions like, well, do you demolish Nilgiri? Are you rebuilding Nilgiri or Kara? What happens to our hostels? No, we need to rebuild it, but Nilgiri hopefully will, or Nilgiri will not hopefully, Nilgiri will stay as Nilgiri, right? So we know that there are emotional attachment. So those green areas, trees, emotional attachment, and campus character is to be preserved. We are working in that direction. I'll take a few more minutes before I close on to apprise you about the new constructions that we are doing. At the moment, there are about 5 projects, new construction project worth about 1,000 crore rupees are already in progress. One boys hostel in the same area. You see that on the left-hand side, one girls hostel that you see on the right side top corner next to Himadri, Sahyadri, and then you have this new hostel. Then just below on the right, staff quarters and a new academic block to meet the requirements of additional teaching and also additional research space, and also new faculty housing on the left-hand side. And all these projects are already up. So these are the projects. Boys Hostel, it's expected to be completed in about March 2028, 300 crore of project. And this would add about close to 3,000 seats. And that is something that is required. Once we have this hostel in place, then we can easily move students from about 2 to at least 2 hostels, which can be then considered for demolition and rebuilding. Girls hostel, another close to 1,500 seats. And of course, the pictures on the above row, the upper row are the artistic or the actual perspectives. But we also want to give you the confidence. The pictures which are below are the side photographs taken a couple of weeks ago, and you see that there are heavy machines digging, and if you come in the nights, you will see that there are big machines moving on the campus in different parts of the campus. So those are the side photographs. Then academic block 103, again, behind the 2 new buildings that we have made, project about 260 crore rupees, again to be finished in 2028. This will add more classrooms, primarily for teaching and some research space as well. Faculty housing, staff housing. I hope that you are also aware that IIT Delhi has also been given, or IIT Delhi has taken a land parcel of about 2 acres, which is just diagonally opposite to Kumaon, just at that juncture. So in that area, we are building transit housing for faculty, transit housing for international visitors, international scholars, again a project which is expected to be completed in next 1 to 1.5 years. Now, these are about the new construction projects, and once they are executed, then we'll have a leeway to take down some of the academic blocks and the hostels, and then in about 10 to 15 years of time, we are making plans to take out these 6 hostels, 6 old hostels, and also Kailash, and also the academic blocks that you have. And of course, it has to be done in a phase-wise manner, and this would require quite some financial resources. And this is my last slide. Of course, these are my impressions. I was thinking the journey of the institute and how it looks like. So maybe first 30 years, we primarily focused on undergraduate teaching, and we were known for our excellence in undergraduate teaching. And then slowly we started emphasizing more on postgraduate learning, postgraduate teaching, research, maybe the following 20 years. And maybe if I look at the last 15 years, there's a strong emphasis on research, PhDs, for example, last year, about 500 plus PhD students have graduated in last convocation, and that was the highest last year. We started focusing more on started ecosystem, entrepreneurship, internationalization, which has reflected in national and global rankings. This is how we have progressed. One may disagree, agree on the time brackets and so on, so just leave that part. To me, what is important is that next 10 years are going to be most exciting in the transformative journey of the institute in terms of executing, taking up path-breaking basic research, technology development, significant changes in education, a strong entrepreneurship and startup ecosystem, leading global academic and research partnerships, modern multi-campus institute, be it Sonepat, Haus Khas, or Abu Dhabi. Now, in this exciting journey, you were an integral part of this journey. Whatever we are because of you, and we want you to participate in this journey. We want your support. It's not really support, it's a partnership. So we look forward for your partnership or working with you to make IIT Delhi a true global leader when the country celebrates 100 years of independence, when institute is 75-year-old. We really want to see IIT Delhi as a global leader, not only in terms of its scientific contributions and reputation, but also in terms of equally matching infrastructure as well as research facilities. So with that, I thank you and will be happy to take any questions maybe when we meet out for a cup of tea. So thank you very much. I stop here.
Thank you, Professor Buva. Now, it is no doubt that alumni play a pivotal role in leading the institute to glory. So, to tie the institutional goals back to the role of a global alumni network, I once again invite Professor Sen Roy to discuss how alumni can shape IIT Delhi's future.
So I'll just take 2 minutes and then we'll move on to the panel discussion. So the entire purpose of this occasion was to apprise our alumni of our goals, our vision, and how can you contribute to that vision. So how can you get involved in that vision? We invite all of you to get involved in that vision. Take charge, take responsibility for some aspect of that vision. Guide us, give us suggestions, give us advice, make us feel uncomfortable with your advice. We need that. We have seen that every time an alumnus came up to us and asked direct questions that made us feel uncomfortable, things improved in the institute. We would want you to do that and continue doing that. We want you to reach out to other students, guide them, because when alumni gives them any advice, they listen. When I say something, they don't. So your advice is extremely important for the welfare of the students. We want you to open doors for us. You are already doing, many of you have done that. That's how the Abu Dhabi campus came up. So we want you to open doors for us, introduce us to people, connect us to other people, help us build strong global partnerships. So that is why we would want you to get involved with this vision. So that's all I have to say. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Sen Roy. It is indeed no doubt that alumni play a pivotal role in leading the institute. Now, to move on to our specialized sessions, I would like to invite 3 visionaries to the stage for a discussion on the IIT Delhi Endowment Management Foundation. Please join me in welcoming them with a huge round of applause. Mr. Saurabh Mittal, Chairman and Founder, Mission Holdings. Mr. Vikram Gupta, Founder and Managing Partner, Ivy Cap Ventures. Mr. Shashi Reddy, Founder and Managing Partner, SRI Capital. I request Professor Sen Roy to please felicitate them as they join us.
Thank you for giving us the money plant. And, oh, it's Lily. So I thought you said money plants. Okay. But we have a lot of money sitting on the table here. So, anyways, so thank you so much. It's great to have both of you here. And I think I'm personally very inspired by both of your journeys. And I think, and everybody's looking forward to hearing from you. So why don't we start with maybe a very brief about your journeys after IIT Delhi. So, very in a very quick this thing, if you can just talk a little bit about how you started and where you are.
Sure, sure. So I finished here in '87. So I did computer science. Then I went to the US, did a master's, and then I got a PhD from Wharton. Soon after my PhD, I started my first company. Actually, I did 4 different companies, all in tech software. And then after that, for the last 10, 15 years, I've been an active angel investor, and now I'm sort of a bit more back operationally. So that's my background.
I graduated in '95. You and I were together in the hostel. Um, and then after a couple of years of work, went to the US for business school. Graduated in '99, the dot-com boom. Actually, you'll remember that really well. Got caught in that, started a company in India with 2 other IIT Delhi alumni, which went listed, left that company, sold my shares 2014, and then started a new set of businesses, now live in Singapore.
Awesome. And I think we are sitting here on the occasion of this launch of this report, and I think it's very impactful to see what alumni have done. And of course, the alumni like yourself, we've seen the number of unicorns created out there, the number of Sunicons, and we're also now seeing a lot of people like myself who are actually also in the investment business. Of course, Sashi, you've been investing as well. So let me start with you, Sashi. And you actually went to the US, and now you're investing a lot across different startups in India. And looking at this India-US cross-border opportunity for entrepreneurs, you have set up a business of your own, and then you sold that business. So I think, how would you look at the entrepreneurs of today versus, let's say, the entrepreneurs, when you started your journey? So what change have you seen over time? And how would you look at the entrepreneurs coming up from the campus of IIT Delhi? So.
Sure. Yeah. So I would say that, of course, when I started, it was not really clear how to go about doing things, but now that's very different. We all know exactly what to do. We have all the resources that we need to start companies. So I think in that sense, it's a fantastic time. But that said, I think if you asked me this question 1 year ago, I would have said, okay, here are the 15 great opportunities you could be doing and so on and so forth. But now with AI, I'm actually at a bit of a loss as to where those big opportunities are and how does one as an entrepreneur today play in this AI world, because I think we've all seen how the last like 3-4 months actually have changed everything about everything. What does that mean for entrepreneurs? So I guess for the entrepreneurs now starting out, I think the way to think about opportunity is going to be very different than when I started, which was, yes, we did have some things that, a lot of things were unknown. So in that sense, better now, but the opportunities are also much clearer. There's no fundamental transition happening that suddenly you have to really question everything about what the opportunity is going to look like. So,
interesting. Sort of, I think your journey has been also very, very interesting, right? So you were part of the founding team of India Bulls, and you actually took the company to public, and then, of course, you've gone through the entire US education system as well, and then now you're running a very large company of your own and involved in multiple initiatives. So people who are then, not only becoming entrepreneurs, but also taking large positions. We have seen a lot of IIT Delhi alumni running very large corporates. How are you seeing that aspect of, the alumni, especially running large organizations, and how one can think of their journeys and, compare your journey with, how people are looking at that as a career move or becoming CEOs or CXOs of the large organizations.
Yeah, I think, one of the pleasures I get to see today, not only do I meet a lot of founders who are sort of my generation who created companies, and those companies have become successful and large, but also a lot of other classmates of mine who went through the corporate route and are now leading large companies, right? And I think both have been equally successful. Vikram, I don't know how they succeeded in the large company because I never joined one. But it just feels at the top, the characteristics of a highly successful founder and a large company leader are very similar at the very top. Maybe in the middle of the journey might be different work, but you're making probabilistic bets. You're trying to understand the environment. You are gathering resources. You are leading people. Remember, none of this required engineering, but engineering gave us the analytical bandwidth to think about all of these things, right? And I think the job is very similar of a CEO as that of a large company founder. So, and I find for some reason, IIT Delhi has been a very fertile ground. Maybe it was the classroom, or maybe it was the stuff outside the classroom. And maybe it was just the fact that we were put together with a bunch of highly competent people our age group and had to sort of be together and see excellence at a very, very near distance. I think whatever it was, it has just prepared us very well, all of us. None of them is doing what they thought they'll be doing 20, 30 years ago. So I think flexibility has been super critical for any successful person I know. Pivoting to the next best thing has been super critical. AI, you said, not deterministic, we don't know. Frankly, success is also not deterministic, right?
Yeah, I think my batchmate actually is working with you, Nitin said, right? So, and I think, is there a recruitment bias when you're actually recruiting people? And I think you were talking about, we even talk about which hostel you're from when you're recruiting. And we've seen even most of these other companies, their reports that if somebody's from Jawala, they're only hiring from Jawala. So what's your experience on that?
So, of course, we are always looking for the smartest people, and we get the smartest people here at IIT Delhi. Maybe most are from Kumon than other places, but yeah, no, I think there's absolutely a bias. In fact, that's why I think we owe a lot to IIT Delhi, because when I was starting out as well, a lot of doors opened just because I went to IIT Delhi, nothing else. And though afterwards I did a PhD like from Wharton and so on and so forth, that doesn't count as much as this IIT Delhi education in terms of opening doors anywhere in the world. And I think that's something that I've always been very appreciative of. Yeah.
Saurabh?
I don't think I've ever hired anyone because they were from Aravali. Though, incidentally, a lot of them ended up being from there. But yeah, definitely, IIT Delhi just gives you this, there's a, I say even if you did not do extremely well academically during the time you were here, you definitely, just by the fact that you got in and you survived, you are of a top-end caliber in intelligence. And frankly, in the business world, we don't need more intelligence than that, right? So IIT Delhi too is a great screener. If you've been from here, you graduated within the prescribed time, you didn't completely bomb out, you're already smart enough to be anything. And it has been just a great playground for me to find business partners, senior employees, mentees, it's been a great fertile ground.
So interestingly, in our case, the initial 5 people in our team, the only person who was not from Aravali was Anju Gupta. She was because she was technically could not be. So I think that is interesting. So the other thing I wanted to understand from both of you studied in the US universities. And of course, you've seen that how their alumni engagements work. And now with the endowment fund, we are doing a lot of activities, trying to do a lot of active engagement with alumni. But if you can maybe bring your perspective of how those US universities, especially the university you come from, how they engage with their alumni and how are we engaging here? What are the key differences you see?
Yeah, so I think in the US, of course, they've really mastered the art of fundraising. These are massive fundraising teams, and in fact, as soon as I finished my master's and PhD, I started getting calls and started to give. And I think in that sense, we've started very late, but it's fine though, because now we have an office set up, we have the basic process, we have a team, we got a great CEO, Mona's here. So I think we are underway, but there's a lot of work to be done. But one other thing I want to add is that when I heard the previous presentation, and we're talking about these numbers, right? They look so massive. So then if we're sitting here looking at these numbers and saying that, okay, how can we actually raise that kind of money as alums? Keep in mind that we've got 65,000 alums. And actually what we need to raise is fairly small on the average per alum, that we can actually do everything that we want to do. We just need to make sure that we get going with the process, like the database, reach out, marketing, because it's very easy. I mean, not easy, but it's absolutely doable. It's not this massive number that we can never reach. It's a number that we can absolutely hit with the right process. So just something to add. Yeah.
Saurabh?
Yeah, I'll echo Shashi's view. My business school, just as a master at money raising, we say we give them money to launder the squirrels. So the squirrels are well groomed. But all jokes apart, they are masters at raising money from alumni, but also engaging alumni extremely deeply. And also taking their inputs and intellectual business connections heft to enhance the power of the school. So I sit on the advisory board of my business school, and it is one of the most powerful committees of the school in terms of the school reaching out punching beyond its weight. And so there is a way to engage. I think that we are just starting. I think Mona is doing a really good job in trying to figure out who these alumni really are. I think that's the first thing. But I think we are in baseball terms, we just first pitch of the first inning, or in T20 first over chal raha hai.
No, I totally agree with that. And I think um, talking about endowment specifically, and I think IIT Delhi was, of course, the first Indian institution to actually set up an endowment fund. And I still remember presenting to the board in 2017 the whole idea. And I think we were talking about $1 billion target at that time. And I think it was probably too ambitious in terms of the time frame. But at the same time, I think the potential that sits there is actually far bigger than that, right? So we've talked about it. And as you said, we have the right team. We have the now the right kind of approach and productization. And Mona, you're doing a great job with all that. So I think the point is that how do we engage the students? I mean, there are a lot of students sitting here, and I think there is a lot of this curiosity from people to learn more about this and want to engage more. And of course, the alumni also want to engage. But while the students are in the campus as well, how do we also make sure that they are also participating, and as soon as they become alumni, they really start contributing back as soon as possible. So any thoughts on that? There are a lot of entrepreneurship activities also happening in the campuses.
This engagement is a very, very tough one, because we think we are engaging by sending out these email newsletters and so on and so forth. But then I've always been surprised that even in my own batch, most people would not have ever received an email from IIT Delhi. And I always found that a bit baffling, because I know from our side there's a lot of stuff happening, but on the other side they don't hear anything from the institute. So the engagement is very tricky. So, but I do hope that some of the offline stuff that we started to do will be a way that people will start to come together and meet other people and so on and so forth. So the few events I've been to, which are offline events, I could already see that for the first time they were actually coming to any IIT Delhi event. So I think as you, what I said, Professor Banerjee, that more of these chapters and engagement at the ground level, I think we'll maybe see that changing. But that takes time, though. It's like one of those things where you start now, and maybe in 4 or 5 years you'll see the benefit of all the work we're doing now.
Saurabh?
I'm not sure how we engage students for giving while they're on campus. But definitely young alumni, if we can get them a way to come back to campus or be associated with activities that the campus does, which is where Mr. Yardi's suggestion of using WeWork spaces to do some IT-related things might be a great way to pivot. I think if we can get young alumni to start engaging versus wait for their 25th anniversary. I think that will set the culture. So that's sort of, I think, the 5-year mark, the 10-year mark. That's where it will really, I think undergrad students or even grad students, I think is very hard. Very hard.
Yeah, we're talking about almost 66,000 alumni base across the world, right? And we'd also talked about today in a board meeting about these local chapters and how do we ensure that we have like a some kind of responsible people in each of these places who are connected with the overall network and then basically some chapters. So I think we are definitely sitting on a great opportunity. And of course, taking a cue from IIT Delhi, now we are seeing IIT Madras, other IITs now setting up their endowments and also doing very well. But I think, how do you see, if we look at the next 10 years, and let's say, given that we are now positioning ourselves in a very, very, of course, we learned a lot from the lessons that we've learned in the last 8 years now, 7 years. How do you see this journey going the next 10 years from here for IIT Delhi, from the endowment angle and to alumni engagement perspective and also, building value over time?
Yeah, I think some of that responsibility is on us because we've got the vision document being put together, and I think at some level we need to get our alums excited behind certain things, and that's when I think they will engage, they will start to contribute, all of those things happen. But I think we also have that work of like really painting the vision. What do we want to be in the 10, 15 years, and then breaking down pieces, getting people engaged, because finally each one can pick, what they're very passionate about, and it can be something that you contribute 10 lakhs, it could be 10 crores or whatever it is. But I think once you have the picture, then you get excited about certain things. I think that's when things will start to flow. So I think with the steps we're taking now, I would hope that in the next 10, 15 years, we are entirely different sort of an institution with much more engagement, more funding available through our alums. Yeah.
So,
and a degree of social proof. I think it was great to see the batch of 2000 raise a lot of money. And I think that puts the pressure on the batch of 2001 and 2002 to try and at least match that. So I think that was a fantastic way to do it. I just think more of what the college has started to do recently, it will just take time to rev up the engine. I think the engine is revving up already better than it was 2-3 years ago. We just have to keep at it and engage the alumni younger and younger.
No, absolutely. And I think it's amazing. And thanks to Mr. Yardi for really setting a trend of really giving back in a very, very meaningful way. And thanks to both of you for really also contributing in a very substantial manner. And I think we are now seeing a trend of where people are actually really coming forward and asking all the questions and wanting to really contribute. So I think we're at the right time, right place. And I've also seen that there is this, there's an emotional connect which is already there. I think part of the reason why I created that song, that endowment fund song, was basically to really bring that emotions together. And I think it did actually bring that together. And I think that was something which was very personally satisfying. So I think we maybe have another few minutes, and if there are any questions here from anyone, very happy to.
Actually, Vikram, I'm sure that you're going to be singing that song. I was a bit surprised not to hear that song. So
I think that's, of course, if I start, then people, obviously, the whole agenda will go for a toss. So maybe we'll. Play that song. Maybe I think we'll play that song later.
Yeah, it will be playing later. The song will play later.
So maybe 1 or 2 questions if anybody wants to. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to business school, so there's not much education at business school. That's very sure. It was not a PhD. I think, at least from my perspective, it was primarily a credentialization, exposure to a different world, and a network that you created. I'm not sure those things get disrupted by AI. At the same time, India is very different than when I had done that degree. Frankly, one of the top management institutes in India is today as capable of giving you all of those things. So I think that case has gone down a lot versus when I went 97. Now it's by the time you will think about 2027, the world has changed. I think, and second, if you look at global GDP maps, I remember when I graduated from business school, India's total GDP was 400 billion, of which 180 billion was private sector. I think we have $180 billion market cap companies now, right? So very different world. So I would say, being an Indian, born in India, educated at IIT Delhi, you can make an amazing global career while never having gone to a US to study, which was a little bit harder in our times, right? I don't know if that answers the question.
No, so I don't have anything to add except to say that please don't give more money to Wharton than you give here. Make sure that we are number one. Yeah.
That's a good one. That's it. One last question. One last question from anyone. Yeah. You can shout it. You shout it.
I'll just give you a perspective on that. Undergrad first year, or even grad school first year, I thought everybody around me, I'm like, we are the idiots who are going to rule the world? This is very strange. 30 years later, these are the people who are the most successful in the world. So I bet you'll find the same. Don't worry, give it time. Give it time. You just came to campus.
By the way, in our time, our degrees used to be in the order of the GPA ranking in the class. So I still remember everybody was standing behind. I was just somewhere in the middle. And everybody standing behind me would become multimillionaires or billionaires. Now I wish I was behind them. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Really, it was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you for that insightful discussion. Now I request them to please take their seats in the audience. We have now come to a highlight of our program. It is my absolute honor to invite Mr. Anant Yardi, President and Founder of Yardi Systems, to please join us on stage. A distinguished alumnus of the 1968 batch, Mr. Yardi's journey from our very own classrooms to becoming a global titan in real estate technology, in fact, one of the largest one in North America, is a testament to the heights of an IIT Delhi foundation can reach. His commitment to giving back is most notably seen in his cornerstone contribution toward founding the Yardi School of Artificial Intelligence, a gift that is currently empowering our students to lead the global AI revolution. I also request our director, Professor Rangan Banerjee, to please join us to felicitate Mr. Yardi. Sir, we are privileged to have you back on campus. A huge round of applause as I invite him to deliver the keynote speech.
You can hear me? Yes, you can hear me. Okay, so my journey is a little bit different from the journey that you may have heard about from our three distinguished folks over here, in part because I am almost a generation older than them. And it is interesting to me to think about and talk about entrepreneurship, a word that we hadn't really been exposed to in the 60s. It is interesting to me to talk about funding sources and companies going public, and then you start a new company, the serial entrepreneur. So my story is a little bit different, and I would start by saying I have this incredible memory of 5 wonderful years at IIT Delhi. The campus looked a little bit different. It's much greener now. There are more flowers now. There are more women now. And it just looks fantastic. When I graduated, as did these two folks, our goal in life was to find a job, retire in the company, and buy yourself a home, and then, of course, you retire and do whatever you wish to. That's the way we were raised. My journey turned out to be a little bit unexpected. And so here it is, 60 years later. You might say, so what exactly did you do, and why is everybody wanting to talk about what you did, or why is it that you have enough money to make the funding? So let me answer that question, and then I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about traits and habits and lessons learned at IIT Delhi. So if we advance 60 years, let me say to you that the company, which started as a 3-person company, and that's the reason it was named Yardi Systems, because it was supposed to be a 3-person company, today has 13,000 employees. We have offices in 28 countries. And you might say, what exactly do you do? Because the name Yardi is not known. To give you some examples, 15 million units in the US and Europe will use our platform for financial management. What we do for these units and apartment buildings is a general ledger, financial management, but we also are a fintech company, which some of you may have heard about. And most people are completely taken aback when they hear that in the first 4 days of any month, we transfer $20 billion through our financial management system. And when you hear about these numbers, you say, how did this happen? And I'll share with you some thoughts. Another part of our business is managing office buildings. Today in the US, Europe, Asia Pacific, our systems are used by 15 billion for managing 15 billion square feet. In terms of the different programs that we have, and I'll share with you an example of a complaint. So when I get calls from our clients, they're usually complaints. And this lady called me and she said, I'm the CIO of a company, and a public company, and we use your product. And I said, oh boy, now what is she going to complain about? She said, I'm not calling to complain. The programs for this public REITs, it was working fine. But she said, I make payments for my 2 children, and the apartments that they live in are managed on your platform. And so I make payments, rent payments for them on your platform. So I said, that's great. Any complaints? No. For my mother-in-law, I make payments for her too, because we have a senior living system with electronic health records. And her complaint was, I have a single email ID, but I have to create different passwords when I make a payment for my mother-in-law, my 2 sons, and then I have a different password. And surely you can fix that. And that's not a simple thing to do, because there's just completely different platforms. So over the years, the way this company started was I lost my job. And so it was a matter of necessity. If you are in your 30s and you have 3 children and you lose your job, it's a problem. It's a serious problem. And so I started a company with the aspirations of 3 people, 2 who would help me. I would write the programs, and these other 2 would help me. And my goal was, it wasn't ambitious like some of you that you talked about. My goal was to make just enough money so that I could cover my costs, which is my goal was to get the same amount of money that the company that I worked for, Burroughs, paid me. And that's how it started. So going back to IIT Delhi, I talked about the fact that it was just a wonderful time. There were lessons learned, which is we were competing, we were learning, we were enjoying, like the person who is talking about just a bunch of goofballs in the first year, right? I think that's what you may not have used that term, but that's what I heard. And I would say Arun and I and Baljit were sort of a part of that, but here we are 60 years later. And I would say, happy to be here 60 years later, because if you were not here, that would be far worse, right? So anyways, lessons learned. It was sort of competition was interesting, but another thing that was quite interesting for me, and I don't think I completely appreciated it when I was here, is the fact that anything that you learn will be obsolete. And so in 1984, when this 3-person company started, personal computers had just been introduced. And we created the first program. We started selling it. And I, for one, and I think this is also an IIT Delhi trait, I always have goals. In IIT Delhi, my goal was, how am I going to beat Tyagi in tennis and Sudhir in badminton? And I would be happy with that, right? Those were my goals. But there's a degree of competition. And so as we started growing, my question was, what do I have to do? And what goals am I going to set to continue to grow? Jump to the end of the 42-year period, the company has grown every year. There has not been a single year that we haven't grown. And that in itself is a remarkable thing. In the first 3 years, as we started this growth journey, and it was much greater, 50%, 60% in terms of growth, my sense was, I'm getting lucky. That how can a company just continue to grow? And is this luck? And what do I have to do? 42 years later, I would say to you, luck is a zero-sum game. You are lucky sometimes, you are unlucky sometimes. In my mind, when I get really lucky, I start worrying because there is bad luck just around the corner. When something bad happens, I feel good because I say I'm going to be lucky just around the corner, right? So there are these traits that you learn. And to some extent, I'm going to say it's this sort of irreverent way of communicating with all of your friends that sort of helped it, which is, oh boy, you're good. And in fact, people still make fun of me, which is, and the fun is usually about something or the other. If I can share with you what Arun said, if you don't mind, he said, I'm envious of you. And I knew something was going to be crazy after that. And so I said, what exactly are you talking about? He said, the way you come up steps. Now, for those of you that are not 80 years old, walking up steps will become a big deal at some point in time. And you just remember that. You make sure that your knees are okay. Anyway, so as I think about this, over the 40-year period, the reason we have grown is because we have accepted change. And looking at the 40-year period, it was first the personal computers, then after that it was relational databases, then it was the internet, cloud computing, mobile devices, and it just goes on. at any point that there is something changes, there's a technological change or a paradigm change in terms of how real estate might be used, there's an opportunity. And I would say to you, there's a similar opportunity facing us with respect to artificial intelligence. My interactions with the professors, the staff, the faculty, the PhD students yesterday, the undergraduate students or the graduate students was really fantastic. It was great to see. One of the questions that's asked, and if you ask me, will the growth continue? I would say more than likely. But as is the case, at any point in time when something changes, if you are unprepared to change, then in fact you're at risk. Another learning from IIT Delhi. So my view of AI, and in fact AI is going to be, I think is going to be prevalent and it'll be everywhere. One of the key questions that's asked is, will I lose my job because of AI? Will AI replace the things that I do? I'd like to share with you just a handful of stats and KPIs. There were two major developments in AI in the 2010, 2012, etc. ImageNet and AlexNet. And this was in computer vision, how to process images. The person who created AlexNet, and he is generally referred to as the godfather of AI, his name is Geoffrey Hinton, and he got the Turing Award in 2017 and the Nobel Prize in 2024. In 2014, he made the statement that image processing had advanced to a point where X-rays, CAT scans, would be analyzed by AI machines and AI algorithms. And his statement was that in course of time, we are not going to need any radiologists. Turned out to be completely wrong. And the reason it turned out to be wrong is because with the enhancements, improvements in digital data processing and image processing, it turns out, can I ask how many of you have had an X-ray done of you? Look at that, see? Everybody. Now, if you ask me 30 years ago, did I have any X-rays done? Setting aside the age aspect of it. In fact, 30 years ago, there were hardly any X-rays. It was just too complicated, and you needed a radiologist to actually examine what's going on. My view is, and I'll give you some stats in terms of our experience. So I talked about the real estate company, the software company. But today we get 100,000 cases or tickets per month. And what are they asking? How to use the program? Something has gone wrong. How do I make my payment? How do I process an invoice? What have you? One of our systems is a system called Breeze. We have 10,000 clients and 20,000 inquiries per month. 4 months ago, we released a chatbot. 80% of our clients have started using the chatbot, which is no human is needed. But what's interesting is 2 years ago, we would have never guessed that we would need a number of people just monitoring the chats, because the chatbot might hallucinate and might in fact give the wrong information. And the chatbot has to be trained. So we have people who used to take telephone calls from our clients are now managing the chat function. So in a way, the statement is, I don't think it's a case of gloom and doom. And yesterday when I spoke with the students, I did ask them the question, how many of you are worried about the future? Will you have a job when you graduate? And the number of hands that were raised was quite amazing. So it's on their mind, which is, will I have a job? How will this all work out? My sense is that it will likely work out just fine. There, in fact, will be some shrinkage in terms of jobs, but it's not a case of, oh my gosh, there's going to be 40% unemployment. So as I look to the future, some of these traits that I talk about, some of the reasons that we have grown, without a question, IIT Delhi had a great deal of impact and influence. I like to say that when you succeed, in some of the talks that I have done at whatever places, I like to say success is something that's just quite incredible. It creates a degree of pride, confidence. There are two qualities that I like to emphasize. One of them is humility. There are too many folks who succeed who just sort of get to a place where their ego just takes over. The second thing that I like to say is gratitude. And when I was sitting back there listening to the 10-year forecast with all of the infrastructure changes, it's a daunting task. But if you succeed, it would be an amazing accomplishment. Infrastructure, training on AI, these are all important things. We were really pleased to be able to fund the School of AI. And we are contemplating, or we have agreed to another major contribution. And a part of it would be to help with the infrastructure component. And a part of it will be to continue to embellish the good work that's been done by the School of AI. And one of the questions that we tackled, and really pleased with Professor Banerjee and the faculty, is, are we at a point where AI and training in AI should become a core requirement, similar to physics, chemistry, mathematics, and that's going to happen. So I really appreciate the collaboration, appreciate everything that's happened. I think I had 15 minutes, and I may be at the end of my 15 minutes. There is Arun, Baljit, and I would say at our age, we have a tendency to ramble. And sometimes we have to be held in check to say, stop rambling, please. You said your bit, okay, sit down. And maybe that's what I should do. So thank you all. And
Such profound and motivating insights. Thank you, Mr. Yardi. We now move to the headline session of the evening, our panel discussion, Shaping the Future, How Alumni Can Transform Every Sector. I invite our moderator, Mr. Alok Mittal, co-founder and managing director at Indifi, to take the chair. Joining him, I request our distinguished panelists to please grace the stage. Ambassador Sanjay Sudhir, former Indian ambassador to the UAE, Mr. Abhiroop Jayanti, Managing Director at the Carlyle Group, Mr. Aziz Gupta, co-founder of Rocket Learning, Professor Amit Gupta, Professor here at Department of Mechanical Engineering, IIT Delhi, Rear Admiral Sujit Bakshi, Director General of the Warship Design Bureau, Ms. Namita Gupta, co-founder of Ayurveda. A huge round of applause for them.
Good afternoon, everyone, and warm welcome to all my panelists. You know, amongst the panelists, we've got a former ambassador. We've got Rear Admiral Bakshi here. We've got a private equity player here in Abhiroop. Namita, an entrepreneur. Amit, a faculty member, researcher. Aziz is a social entrepreneur. So as I look at this panel, I'm just amazed by the diversity of roles that people have taken up. And there's always this question of, hey, IIT guy engineering kari. So, what are you doing being an ambassador? right? Where did you use the skill set? So one thing that I do want to peel the onion on, and we've got several students sitting here who might be wondering, what options should they pursue, right? And it has been my belief that education should open possibilities for us and not shrink possibilities for us. I would love to go around the panel to understand, what are the key traits that you acquired at IIT, which have helped you in such a diverse set of professions.
Thank you. Always great to be back here. And I think Saurabh also alluded to the fact that much of what you require, at the leadership level, has very little to do what you learned in the classroom. But at the same time, what did we all pick up in our years at IIT? 5 in some cases, 4 in the other cases. I think IIT for me was more of a training of the mind. So it was more about learning the grammar, not the vocabulary, because the vocabulary, the technological subject matter, in any case, will become redundant after a few years. But it was more about, getting to learn something which is much more subtle. It was, of course, about competitive spirit, but in a collaborative way. So I think those are things which one imbibed over a period of 4 years without really realizing that. But then when it came to that situation, when all these qualities were to be used, they just came up. They just came up and they grew from there. And I see that, more than 50% of the secretaries to Government of India are actually from one IIT or the other. And that really makes life, they used to make my life very easy as Ambassador of India to the UAE, because when you talk to IITians, it's so easy to, as they say, to cut the crap, to just come to the heart of the matter, because on the other side you have somebody who understands what you're saying, who's keen on finding a way out, finding a solution, finding how to move forward.
What's that signature? What's the IIT Delhi signature? So when you see this 50% of secretaries who are coming from IIT Delhi, are there ways in which they behave differently, relative to other people that you obviously come across?
So, I'll just give you this example of setting up the IIT Delhi Abu Dhabi campus. It so happened that Secretary of Higher Education was also an IITian. Today, he's the Controller and Auditor General of India. We spent very little time in discussing the IIT Delhi Abu Dhabi matter, because he could get it in no time. And sometimes I would also think, what more do I need to say? I've said so little. But then it was just that much which was enough to convey. And then he would understand and know how to navigate it further down in the government and in the other parts of the bureaucracy. So
you meet a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm sure you've backed a lot of entrepreneurs, including IIT Delhi entrepreneurs. In your mind, what defines an IIT Delhi entrepreneur?
In fact, this was asked earlier, one of my earliest investments was with an IIT Delhi alum, Shrikant, who founded Fractal. Yes. As I reflect upon it, I would say 2 words come to me. One is audacity of ambition. And the second is that's tempered with the control on what you're really going after. And what I mean by that is, when you talk to any IIT Delhi alum, right, I think they really get excited getting into messy problems somehow. And they back themselves to say, look, we can go find solutions to this. That's the audacious nature of the ambition, which is inspiring. But then I think, Yari sir also said, look, they bring this real combination of humbleness to it, which is, we'll do this first principle thinking, knowing very well that our odds of success are very little, but we're okay with that. And then really keeping yourself honest to the objective at hand. And that's what really differentiates it. Because most of these are really tough problems. And if you see many of these startups that came out of IIT Delhi, day one, you would say these are problems which look very tough to solve. And will you ever make money on this? And not only they ended up making money, but they were pretty large institutions. So to me, it's the audacity tempered with the humbleness and the first principles. Which
I think we get taught humility in our first year at IIT.
A lot.
Admiral Bakshi, you've been at the edge of technology in defense forces, where obviously, having a better technology, having excellence can mean everything, right? What lessons did you derive from your stay at IIT that have been helpful to you?
Yeah, so first, I'll talk we, because I represent a set of people who are like me. So we are from the core of naval constructors, which was formed in the Indian Navy in 1956. So the idea was to make our own ships and submarines in India. So a central design office was set up in 1964. And this program, this is a unique program anywhere in the world, where Indian Navy and IIT Delhi are working together to create a set of niche officers who are able to design ships and submarines. So it was started in 1977. This program is already 49-year-old, and next year it will become 50. So the different thing that happens here is we are totally focused on warship design and submarine design. And whatever advanced subjects which are associated with the design, we get exposed to that. And there are minor projects which we do, which are again conceptual and very advanced concepts which we work on. So again, so what have we achieved? So what we have achieved is we have moved from a buyer's navy to builder's navy. Today we build our own ships. We have made from the smallest ship to the largest aircraft carrier, 45,000 tons of Indian steel and Indian design. So when the ship was commissioned in 2022, I consider that as the 1983 moment, how it was for cricket. That is when we realized as a country that we can make ships. And today, when you see the government focus, last year, 70,000 crore has been allocated only for shipbuilding, is because of that. So we have realized what we can do. And when the country was moving in the last 60 years, so commercial shipbuilding was not doing so well. So it was we who held the knowledge, we held the technology, we held the shipbuilding together, so that today we are able to take that next leap into the times which are going to come. The Make in India, Make for the World, all that which is happening. 2047, when we are looking at replacing the complete set of ships in the country, we are somewhere there, and IIT Delhi, Applied Mechanics Department, and Navy, we have done it together. Thank you.
That's great. Namita, I want to take you on another element of the IIT journey. You're running a business which relies heavily on technology, but at the same time, things like behavioral change amongst customers, right? There's a policy element to what you do. Can you just reflect on the set of skills that you might have acquired at IIT? And it's obvious where the technology came from, but where did the rest of it come from?
Sure. So I think one of the things that I see very sort of signature to IIT is systems thinking, with a bias for action, right? Like when a lot of people look at air pollution, they think of it as policy failure, right? Or, environmental tragedy, right? But I think when an IIT Delhi alum looks at air pollution, they think of it as a data and systems engineering gap, right? So like when I started Airveda, I looked at air pollution as, not just about, buying monitor, like building monitors and selling monitors, but really about, what kind of data do we need, right? And how can we actually leverage that data to drive awareness, government and citizen action, right? Health outcomes. And I think this is the systems engineering, which is what I really learned at IIT. I think in addition to that, I think there are a lot of other qualities that you get just through the sort of rigor that you go through to get into IIT and then to stay there, right? I think one is just the grit, right? I mean, I didn't come from a hardware or environmental background. I was in software companies like Microsoft, Facebook, Zomato, right? So this move was hard, right? And working in air pollution 10 years ago was really tough because everybody saw this as a passing problem, right? And it's been a tough journey, like steep learning curve, and it's been really hard to stay with the problem, even though it's so hard to see progress on a day-to-day basis. But I think IT Delhi really gives you that grit, right, to stay with it. I think another thing that I have really gained from IIT Delhi is just the ecosystem, right, and the trust, right? I mean, we work with government officials, we work with the IITs, we work with so many researchers, policy people, right? And I think being an IIT alumnus just gives you a place at the table, right? It becomes with a certain credibility, which enables even a small company to come and sort of make impact. And I think speaking as a woman, I'm sure everybody's aware of it, right? Like when a woman walks into a room, right, everybody starts looking, oh, where's the boss, right?
You mean at IIT?
No.
At your company?
No, anywhere, right? In any organization, right? It's really hard for women to get credibility, right? Like, I've been in so many meetings where, I walk in and then they're like, okay, where's the boss, right? And then once it's established that you're the boss, then you are sort of proving yourself to be worthy of being the boss, right? But being an IT Delhi alumnus gives you immediate credibility, right? I mean, they stop questioning your credibility the moment, they sort of know that. I think the other thing IIT Delhi gave me is resilience, right? Like the 20-to-1 ratio of men to women that we had at IIT, it's honestly the same thing outside IIT, right? This is the real world. When you walk into a room of decision makers, it's still the same ratio. And I think what I learned at IIT Delhi was that, I just have to stop trying to fit in and, focus on bringing my perspective to the table. So I think just so much that I hope that.
Oh, that's amazing, yeah. Amit, you've been a student here, you're a faculty member now, I'm sure you're interacting with a lot of students. What has changed in the student body, right? Are their aspirations fundamentally different? Are they thinking about their careers differently? Are they thinking about impact differently?
So I think probably, see, I graduated in 2004, and things have definitely changed since then. Probably, I think as Saurabh was also mentioning, right, that there was a time when ours was a generation which was actually probably looking to the West to actually pursue certain life goals, right? So for example, most of my batch actually, especially in mechanical, actually ended up being in the US pursuing some higher degree or the other. That is one aspect that I can safely say, having interacted with so many students over the last 15 years here in IIT Delhi, I can say that aspect has now changed. I think there's relatively, a smaller proportion of students who actually are looking at, higher education in that sense. But of course, I mean, I think the market has also opened up. There are so many opportunities around. I think students see, and India, the way the economy is also flourishing, students see, I think when they graduate, they see an option that they can make an impact right here, right, straight after a BTech. And even with the startup, ecosystem, there's a lot of opportunities. Possibly I would say, I think maybe personally, probably I was not such a risk taker. This also explains why I'm in academics even now. And never moved out of it. But then I think that definitely has changed. I think student expectations are different now. I think they also realize that there is a lot they can actually do. There are lots of opportunities. There are lots of problems that they can actually solve.
Aziz, risk-taking, impact, you run Rocket Learning, 3 million students, target of getting to 50 million students. Just you've taken the IIT Delhi mindset in social sphere to one extreme. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I think what I'm happy to say is that, in my organization, which is a non-profit organization, so we pay reasonable salaries, but nobody has equity. Nobody's going to become a millionaire or a billionaire or something. We're probably India's largest non-profit working for early childhood development. We have about 8 people from IITs, about 5 of them from IIT Delhi. And I think from my batch, maybe there are a couple of us in non-profits, but in subsequent batches, I'm seeing many, many more come in. And actually, there is a little bit of a bias towards IIT Delhi people in that mix. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. I think overall, I think Namita mentioned the bias for action. I see that definitely in people who are coming. They want to do something. They want to change things. So if any of us have a little bit of a privilege of not needing to earn a huge amount of money, I think we're more and more attracted towards impact as a space. So I think that's something that we're definitely seeing. And I think we get addicted in IIT to creating change and towards leadership. As an institute, we sort of revere leadership. I think there's almost a cult of leadership here. That are people making change? Are we creating this sort of impact? That could be in my hostel, that could be in my institute, right? And I think we take that with us, which is why actually I think that there's quite a lot of people trying to take leadership in every sphere. And somebody is in academic, somebody's in startup, somebody is in private equity, and I think a growing number of us are in social impact. And for I think kids here, it's genuinely becoming a career that is a very possible career. So I'll encourage people to look at it.
As I kind of look at the comments you guys are making, right, IIT Delhi DNA seems to be a bundle of contradictions, right? You're telling us that, you know, they are bold, but they are humble, right? You're telling us that they're hungry, but they still have the confidence to take risks and be patient about it, right? So I think somewhere therein lies what is tying all of us together. And yes, elements of credibility, trust. Great. You know, I want to kind of get to the second piece of the discussion, and we saw the impact report. Professor Sandra referred to, you know, another impact report in 5 years or 10 years, at least, you know, called upon us to do a better job, you know, so that that report is even more impressive. Aziz, starting with you, you know, what is one bold headline that you would like to see in the 2036 report? Remember, this is an alumni impact report. This is not an IIT Delhi Institute report, right? What would you like to see there?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, Mr. Yadi mentioned AI and how that's changing so many things around us. I think I would love to see the alumni of IIT Delhi, the students of IIT Delhi, lead the way for AI transforming lives of Indians. And you know, how can India become the AI use case capital of the world? How can we actually use AI to not just focus on people in the top 20% who are definitely going to get a lot of products, but how do we use it to create unprecedented mass level change in the country, right? And open our business models that can cater to 100% of our country's population. So I think that's where I think that IIT Delhi, the IT in general, is really set up to deliver for India and for maybe the whole global south as well. Because we are the place where these use cases have that data, have that population, and we can make population level impact.
Amit, in the research academia, right, what is the ambition that we as alumni should set for ourselves?
I think that's the ambitions, I think, are always, see, one of the things that we should look at is that academically, I think, there's a lot for IITs to achieve. In fact, one of the things that the institute is actually also working on is to make a mark internationally, you know, be a place where academically we could invite, you have influx of students from abroad, right? That is actually something that we would like to see. I think this is where I think if we can somehow, we could work towards it, you know, academically, if we can make the place known for its programs where you have international students coming in, making it actually one of the preferred destinations. I think that would be probably, you know, in the next 10 years, a huge achievement for us, you know, for IIT Delhi to actually be known.
Namita, IIT Delhi is already the largest unicorn contributor to the country. What else do you want to see on that board?
You know, I want these unicorns to be, you know, doing more work around societal impact. You know, I think we have so many real world problems in India right now. And I think, you know, the IIT Delhi alumni, especially those, you know, who have, you know, probably achieved some level of, you know, success in their roles, I think it's a responsibility, and I think there's a huge opportunity for them to actually work towards contributing, you know, to the various different problems. And the headline I would like to see is that IIT Delhi alumni, you know, they really sort of pitch together and, you know, fix some of the major issues facing our country, like, you know, education, like poverty, healthcare, you know, air pollution, climate change. So I would love to see much more involvement of the alumni in these key areas.
With the kind of encouragement from the director, one of the things that we are doing is some of us are trying to provide more entrepreneurship support to students on campus, right? So that, you know, people don't have to wait for 10 years, 20 years to consider making that impact, but they can do it much faster. Admiral, from your perspective, India is on a make in India journey, right? There is a lot of investment on deep tech going on. Where should we be in the next 10 years?
Coming from maritime background, first of all, we have to think differently. Presently, our vision is very landlocked. We look at the land, but when you look at the north, we are all blocked. So the opportunities for us lie down south. Like, since Ambassador is also there, he'll also agree. We have more opportunities in the ocean. So again, when I said IIT, Applied Mechanics and Indian Navy, we have done so much in shipbuilding. So the opportunities in future, like what we see is there has to be a center of excellence. This naval construction wing has to be converted to a center of excellence in maritime domain, maritime technology. Now, when I say maritime domain and technology, we are looking at shipbuilding, merchant ships. We are looking at commercial, both and warships. We are looking at offshore structures. We are looking at offshore structures which can be used for renewable energy also. We are looking at coastal shipbuilding. We are looking at opportunities under the water. When you are in the coast, there can be underwater tourism. That itself is an opportunity. When we are looking at slightly deeper, there are undersea resources. So this center of excellence can work in robotics, undersea domain. We are looking at opportunities in inland waters. There's so much of opportunity there. We are also looking at opportunities like when we look at, some years ago, you would have gone to, say, Mumbai. At Gateway of India, you would see some yachts, which are foreign yachts, and a marina, small marina. But today you see a lot of yachts which are Indian owned. So that means our people are spending into marine. In the north, when you see, again, tourism, the opportunities are becoming lesser and lesser, it is getting crowded. So that in tourism also, like recently we did INSV Condé, you would have heard of. The ship was a wooden ship, stitched without nails, was designed by our team. So that ship went from Porbandar to Oman back to Mumbai. So what I'm saying is, we have to look at opportunities intercontinental, which the Westerners were doing earlier, now we have to do it. So what I'm saying is, all these are areas of opportunities. Associated with that will be the technology. Technology has to be developed in India. Our youth, which I see, what we interact with, are firms which are there. They are all open to doing a lot of research, startups, entrepreneurship. We are supporting them. And we are working very closely with DRDO labs, the firms which are there in India. A lot of innovation which is happening, a lot of indigenization which is happening. So this center of excellence can be a big center and it can contribute to all this development. Thank you.
Avirup, there's a lot of change happening out there. Change is the only constant. Change is accelerating at a faster pace than ever before, right? We've all heard about that. In your mind, what is changing over the next 5 to 10 years? How should we be responding to it? And what is the role that alumni can play to bring that change in the industry?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. So if you think of just the last 5 years, what happened in the world, we've had COVID, we've had tariffs impacting global policies, we've had AI, which depending on who you ask is deflationary or completely disruptive, and we have had wars, which no one thought of for 50 years. So you had like almost 4 black swan events in the span of 5 years, which is a level of uncertainty I don't think we've used to or ever priced as an investor, right? So when you ask me, look, what is the next 10, 15 years? I think it's going to be a very different world out there from the previous 10, 15 years. And I think 2 things that will matter for us to succeed as a country and as IIT alumni. I think we have to evolve. Look, we have done really well in technical skills, in leadership, in being able to scale. I think the next journey is really bringing innovation. I was really pleased with the presentation earlier where they talked about innovation. I think we as a country need to be the knowledge center for the world. And that requires real risk-taking in innovation, which I think we are in early innings of. So what needs to change? I think the risk-taking has to go beyond trying to see analogs, but fundamental innovation, where you are starting to create the first pitch, if you will, which will create global analogs. That needs to change. That means the thinking needs to change, how you approach problems. How you fund these need to change, because today we fund mostly analog stories. How do you fund real fundamental risk bets? And then human capital improvement has to change, which is where I think IIT will play a role. And as alumni, we have to play the role of how do you keep giving back that feedback and empowering them, and hopefully play a small role in truly getting it to fruition, I would say.
Ambassador, you have also been involved with IIT Delhi's Abu Dhabi campus, right? As you look at the next 5 to 10 years, what does this do with regards to recognition of India, Indian education internationally, right? Not just through its alumni, but through its direct presence, right? So where do you think that is headed?
So what is happening now as the world sees India is that we all talk about demographic dividend and other things and how Indians do so well when they go to the US or some other part of the world. Now that part is being recognized more and more. And so if you couple it with, say, the new education policy, where we are consciously talking about internationalization of Indian education, I think what we are doing now, for instance, we took the first ever campus of IIT Delhi to Abu Dhabi. We took the first ever overseas campus of IIM Ahmedabad to Dubai. Symbiosis is now in Dubai. CBSE opened its first ever overseas office in Dubai because there are so many students. I mean, so there's so much demand for this kind of an education. So there's a great recognition that India could be a destination for high quality education. I'm not saying a destination, say, for the Americans or for the Europeans, but if we call ourselves, say, a leader of the global south, then perhaps there's a huge chunk of world population which can find good quality education here. In fact, I understand that the Ministry of Education will soon launch this Study in India initiative. And in that initiative, who are involved? IIT Madras is involved in that. EDSIL is involved. Another few entities are involved in, and their effort is to showcase Indian education overseas. But coming to your previous question about what alumni should do 5 years from now, if I can suggest something a bit counterintuitive. So I'll just take off from where Namita mentioned that, see, we have done everything, startups and unicorns and across sectors. But I think one area where we are still not really there, we need to be there, because that's where we can really make social impact, which is to enter into politics at the highest levels. Because if you talk about leadership, that is the highest level of leadership you can have. And politics cannot be a preserve of the university across that road, across the, right? And also, I must say that if you look at the current cabinet, one of the most successful ministers, the Minister for Railway, IT, and INB, is an IITian. So I think eventually our people have also to reach those levels of governance where they can determine policy, implement policy, and also appeal to the people to get convergence around those policies. I think it's only then that the level of consciousness, which is really required to deal with a lot of national issues, could probably come.
Oh, very interesting. We've seen former IFS officials obviously be cabinet ministers. We've seen former private equity players from IIT being ministers. So I think there are enough roads that lead to Rome. But we've had enough of the serious discussion. I want to indulge in a little bit of your memories from IIT. So this is going to be rapid fire. So a quick question and a quick answer. And if I may start with your permission. Favorite spot on campus?
It is no longer there, the Kishan and Sons.
KLS. Yes. There is another one there. Okay. Abhirup, let me pick for you.
But our KLS used to open till 2 a.m.
Your KLS and my KLS are the same, sir.
Yeah. I don't think the one which is now opens till 2 a.m.
Youth Cafe. Youth Cafe, yes. Abhirup, one thing you did at IIT that you wouldn't dare to do now?
Oh my God, I should not even say about it.
That's why I asked.
No, I think if I reflect back, I think I mean, taking the cue from the first year here, I think we used to question the professors and anyone with the kind of irreverence I don't think I would do today. And I think that clearly is one of the testament to how this institute encouraged risk-taking at the very basic core, right? And I had many such foxpaw moments at my end, but that would probably be the one that I wouldn't dare to today.
Admiral, hypothetically, if you were not seen in your classroom, where would you be seen?
I think football ground.
Namita, this one's for you, okay? The toughest course.
Toughest course, fuzzy logic.
Okay. I thought you talked about all that structured thinking and everything, right? Okay. Amit, your favorite common room activity?
Favorite common room activity? I think we used to watch a lot of cricket matches. The whole hostel used to collect, join together. So I remember a lot of India-Pakistan matches actually, so.
That's great. Well, gentlemen and the lady, you've been a great panel. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your perspectives with all of us. Thank you.
I request our guests to please stay on stage as I now invite our Dean, Nilanjan Senroy sir, and our CEO of EMF, Mona Singh ma'am, to please felicitate our guest. A huge round of applause for them. Once again, a huge round of applause for them. Yeah, we will now open the floor for a brief Q&A session. I request our team to please rove microphones among the attendees. If you have a question, raise your hand and we'll provide the mic to you.
Thanks to all the panelists for sharing such great insights. It's always inspiring to be back on campus. This year, last year in fact, IIT Delhi had done a mentorship program where some of us alumni interacted with the students, kind of 15 to 20 minutes interaction. So my observation was that the students need a lot of personal connect with their fellow batchmates and also with alumni. So in a span of 3 hours, I spoke to around 12 students, 9 to 12 students. And they need that mentorship. So I would urge more of our alumni to participate in these programs. Also with communication skills, I think they need better guidance on how to articulate their ideas. A lot of them had wonderful startup ideas, and a lot of them are even founding ventures in their third year, but I think they need some support. And due to COVID, some of these batches had missed out on the personal connect. For me, those years were very valuable when I was on campus. And also with Namita, I have actually shared yoga classes in Gurgaon. She's almost 10 years senior to me. But apart from, I'm so proud that she has founded Ayurveda, because apart from her actual venture, I have seen her commitment to wellness. And this is another thing that IIT taught us, is to pursue excellence in everything that we do. And Namita, I've seen like she's one of the best yoga people in our class, and I'm so proud that she's here today on the panel.
Thank you everyone for the inspirational evening. So basically my question was that, and I think this was touched upon by a couple of panelists earlier as well. What I wanted to do is that when I came back from the US, sorry, another one of those guys, but when I came back from the US, I straight away came second day to IIT Delhi and met Professor Amit, who is here, and asked him what should I do, and took his guidance on things like that. But so my request or question is for the institute authorities that I know that fundraising is a major target or a goal that everybody is looking for from the alumni. But for the younger alumni, or who are those, or I would say I represent the struggling alumni who are still in the process of basically building their careers, and would, it would be awesome to have like better opportunities to interact with the faculty and the students, just like a mentorship program is one of them. So I think I would be waiting for more opportunities to contribute, because I live in Delhi. So I can frequently come, and similarly, I think a lot of other alumni would also like to engage.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. So that is very interesting and important point. How do the younger alumni stay connected and engaged? Actually, younger alumni are particularly important for us because they are the ones who will have deep connections with the existing students of the institute. And we strongly encourage you to come to the campus, talk to the students here, talk to us, tell us what was nice about your stay and what was not so nice about your stay. So that dialogue discussion needs to happen, but we definitely want you to remain connected throughout. So if you have any ideas, suggestions, please feel free to reach out to us. Welcome that kind of outreach from you. And yeah, that's all I have. Yep.
Can I have a minute? All right, friends, I'm CK Jain from 67 batch. Well, impact, when we talk of impact, what have the IIT alumni done? Have we created a global brand? Is there one brand which is recognized globally as a product of India? Sorry, we have not been able to do a single thing there. One brand that we have globally recognized is definitely IIT. IIT itself has become a global brand, which is very good. But I mean, if not in manufacturing, we can certainly create a global image as far as R&D is concerned. We have huge intellectual, prodigy over here. The intellectual capital has not been utilized properly. All our researchers go abroad and do very well, but somehow, in India, it's like, brain in the drain. So we need to now focus on creating some kind of a global image and a global brand in research and technology. Now, another point that I wish to make out is that, all right, all IITs have done very well. All right, the older 5 IITs have done very well. What do we have as far as IIT Delhi is concerned? What distinguishes us? How are we different? How are we different from IIT Madras? Somebody mentioned about politics. I think that's where we have a great chance. IITians are doing very well in the civil services. Why not the politics? The secretaries are the policy makers. Why aren't they at the political level also? So this is something that was mentioned here in the panel. And I think at IIT Delhi, we need to think of other avenues available where we can make a mark. Thank you.
Yeah, we are open to one more question if there's any. Now to conclude this evening's formal proceedings, I invite Ms. Mona Singh to the podium for the official vote of thanks.
So thank you everybody for coming here in person for this event. We hope to have a much larger turnout next year because we are going to do it year on year till everybody starts coming here. I think the alumni have a huge role to play. And like we said, like the title of the book says, that, we transform them and they transform the world. But we want all of you to come back and transform IIT Delhi again. We are very thankful to Mr. Anant Yadi for his generous gift. It's one of the ways that is going to help transform this institution. But before we end this day, I'd like to thank the director and the senior leadership for coming together to put this all together. This book is a result of their efforts, year-long efforts, to put this all this information together. And but before we end, like I said, there is a group of people who are already helping IIT Delhi transform. Some of them are sitting here, are founders of the endowment management founders. Thank you, Saurabh, for being here. Alok was here, Shashi Reddy, Mr. Anant Yadi, Arun Duggal, Arun Duggal, and so I'd like to thank all of you for being here and want to share the video that we have been talking about. That should be the anthem of this whole endeavor. So we'd like to play that at the end. And there is one slide I actually wanted to show. Could you put that slide? Yeah, these are all the founders and co-founders of the endowment fund. These are the people who are already coming together to transform IITD. And they have started the wheels in motion, and our request is to please, we will take it forward. And over to the video that we've all been looking forward to. Thank you so much.
तूने बंद आँखों से देखे थे ख्वाब जो है जुबां बिना तेरे दिल को फिर भी है याद वो तूने बंद आँखों से देखे थे ख्वाब जो है जुबां बिना तेरे दिल को फिर भी है याद वो है रास्ता तुझको पता अब ढूंढ ले मंजिल के निशान खुद बना ले जिंदगी मत समझ ये भाग है ना खत्म जो हुई वो तेरे अंदर की आग है आसमान में, ना कोई खबर थी होगा क्या उड़ान में। तूने सांस भरी, तू आगे बढ़ा, उस डर के परे तू फिर भी उड़ा। अब नजर ना हटा, आने वाला मकाम है, वक्त की कलम को तो लिखना तेरा ही नाम है। नाम है, नाम है, नाम है, नाम है। वो मिल जाएगा जिसका इंतजार था, दिल जिसके लिए यूं तेरा बेकरार था। सब मुश्किलें तुझे छोड़ कर छुप जाएंगी उस मोड़ पर, और करेगा तू बयां जो तेरी अपनी किताब है। ये जहां दोहराएगा जो सिर्फ तेरा ही ख्वाब है। ख्वाब है, ख्वाब है, ख्वाब है, ख्वाब है। ओ, ओ, तूने बंद आंखों से देखे थे ख्वाब जो है जुबां बिना तेरे, दिल को फिर भी है याद वो।
I would like to extend a special thanks to our AV and technical team for the seamless execution of today's program, and to my fellow colleagues at the Office of Alumni Relations for their tireless efforts in organizing this event. I thank to all of you for joining us today and for your continued commitment to the legacy of IIT Delhi. Now, I invite all of you to join us for high tea outside for a session of networking. Have a wonderful evening and thank you.